What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the Nike Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. Also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler. But as I'm sure you guys could probably already tell, I'm not in my usual studio today. In fact, for the entire weekend, I'm in Toronto. SneakerCon flew me out here for SneakerCon Toronto, obviously. And just because I'm here for the weekend doesn't mean the work can stop. I still got some reviews to give to you guys. I actually started filming this video in the kitchen, which looks a lot nicer than this white wall, but the neighbors just weren't having it, which is weird because I was just talking just like this. But they really started banging on the walls to a point where that's all you could hear in the video. So I had to move into the bedroom. So I hope you like my desk because this is what you guys get instead of an awesome view of Toronto. So there's that. But that's not really important. What is important though is the brand new Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. So this sneaker is actually the latest iteration of the Vaporfly 4% series. Nike actually named this shoe the 4% because apparently it's supposed to increase your running efficiency by 4%. I'm not a race runner, I'm about as amateur as you can get, so it doesn't seem to really increase my efficiency. I mean, not that I would even notice, but it is a very comfortable shoe. This year's version is a little bit different from last year's version, with the main difference being that they changed out the entire upper, hence the name Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. And what that's supposed to have done is drop some weight from the upper of the shoe and just lighten up the entire silhouette. I never tried last year's 4% because honestly, I just couldn't get a pair. This pair was hard enough to get as it is, so I can't tell you from personal experience if this pair is significantly lighter than last year's pair, but based on what they're saying, it probably is. So starting off with the top half of the shoe, as I just mentioned, the entire upper is made up of this one-piece Flyknit construction. This particular colorway comes in just this super crazy bright orange. Not something I would usually wear casually, but because I needed to film this review in Toronto and I didn't want to throw this in my bag, I just kind of wore it on the trip over. That being said, if you are actually going to run in this shoe, which is of course the main reason that people would buy this sneaker, it's great for visibility. The Flyknit upper is pretty flexible while still maintaining its shape. It's got small ventilation holes throughout the upper, and of course being a knit sneaker, it's going to be a pretty well ventilated shoe. One thing I will say about the upper, especially in the first 2 or 3 runs that I went on in the shoe, is that it starts out very, very tight. I had trouble getting my foot into the shoe, and at first it was relatively uncomfortable, especially around the ankle area, but the more that I actually wore it and the more that I ran in it, it really started to loosen up. Continuing up the shoe, you've got these flat orange laces weaving through the upper. This shoe doesn't look like it uses flywire at all, which is fine because it seemed to fit pretty well as soon as I put it on my foot. It's also a more minimal marathon runner, so flywire isn't something that you really need. Underneath the laces, you've got this super stretchy Flyknit tongue. Moving inside the shoe, the upper, as I said before, is very minimal. Most of the upper is just straight Flyknit, which again is super breathable and actually pretty comfortable. Again, after you run in it a few times and stretch it out a little bit, because at first it's crazy tight. The insole of the sneaker comes in bright orange with the word racing and the Nike swoosh printed in black. As for the actual fit of the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit, it definitely fits narrow. I have narrow feet, so that isn't a problem for me, but if you have wider feet, you might want to go up half a size. Something to keep in mind too is that runners have very individual preferences when it comes to the actual fit of their running shoes, so if you are buying this to run in, you probably know what sort of sizing you want. And because of that, I would definitely suggest trying the shoe on first before you buy it, because the sizing was a little bit different than I expected online. I would personally say go true to size if you can, because once you actually break in the shoe, it feels great on foot. But again, runners' tastes are so specific that it's definitely something that you want to try on before you buy it if you can. Continuing back on the shoe to the midfoot, you've got this oversized gray Nike swoosh. You also have a Nike swoosh on the medial size as well, except it's a little bit smaller. Moving around to the back of the shoe, you've got this orange pull tab with racing and the Nike swoosh printed in gray. Moving down the sneaker to the midsole, we get to the most interesting technology incorporated into this shoe. This shoe is definitely targeted towards the more prosumer runners who run marathons on a pretty regular basis. In the words of Cousteau, shout out to Cousteau by the way, this is a shoe that you'd really only wear on race day. This definitely isn't a shoe that you'd train in every day, especially because it is $250. But not only that, because of the foams that they used in this sneaker, it's not the most durable sneaker in the world either. This entire midsole is actually made up of Zoom X, which is incredibly soft and incredibly comfortable. I would say it's probably the softest midsole cushion on the market that I know of. This is softer than React, this is softer than Boost. It feels like you're walking on marshmallows. When I first tried on the shoe, I was expecting one thing, but it was just so much different than what I was expecting. There are other Nike running shoes that have a little bit of Zoom X, like the Pegasus 35 Turbos. Except for those, only half of the midsole is made up of Zoom X and the other half is made up of React. These guys are all crazy cushioning Zoom X and you can definitely feel it. But one of the coolest features about this shoe is that actually running throughout the entire midsole is this carbon fiber plate. And what that plate actually does is almost give you like a crazy bounce and sort of a spring motion so that when you're running, it really propels you forward. So even though this midsole is soft, it never feels like you're sinking into it. It always kind of feels like you're bouncing on it. You can also tell that there's a carbon fiber plate in here because you can't really bend the shoe at all. I've got to say, in the few small runs that I've done, I love this midsole. It's been incredible. Every time I take a step, it feels like I'm boosting forward. It's a really crazy experience. Is that experience worth $250 or more like $270 after taxes? I don't know, but it's something that is fun to experience. I actually also really like the way the midsole looks. I like this orange stripe with the gray accents and of course the gray Nike swoosh sort of spilling over onto it. However, there is sort of one aesthetic thing that I'm definitely not a fan of, and that's that it pretty much creases immediately out of the box. Like it was already creased up before I even wore the shoe, and then as soon as I put it on my feet, it just got like completely crumpled. Again, it is a performance shoe, so it's not that big of a deal, but if you're wearing it for lifestyle, just keep that in mind. And like with the upper, the midsole itself is pretty narrow. You don't really notice it when you're running because you're normally just moving forward, but if you ever make any lateral movements, you might feel like you're gonna topple over a little bit. And because there's so much ZoomX, you also feel a little bit taller and also a little bit more unstable as well. And then finally, moving to the bottom of the sneaker, you've got this big rubber section on the forefoot for added durability, and then a couple smaller pieces on the heel as well. And then, like with a lot of Nike sneakers recently, the midfoot itself is just exposed ZoomX. I'm a little concerned about durability on the ZoomX, especially since it's sort of fraying a little bit on the heel already, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Overall, the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit at $250 is a great running sneaker, especially if you're running marathons or races. Probably not the best lifestyle sneaker. Again, Nike isn't really targeting the lifestyle market with this sneaker, but if you were interested in grabbing it for just lifestyle, I would probably pass. However, if you do have a marathon coming up or you want a crazy comfortable sneaker to run in, this is a good way to go. But that pretty much wraps up the video for today. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit, and if you're a runner and would actually use this for race day, or if you're just a casual wearer and just want to grab it because it looks good. If you guys are first-time viewers or haven't watched some of my videos in a while, you might not know that I'm actually doing this off-white Halloween giveaway. I haven't told you guys what sneakers I'm giving away yet, other than the fact that they're off-white sneakers. This is just sort of my small way of thanking you guys for supporting the channel. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. Literally. So if you guys do want to learn more about how to enter the upcoming off-white giveaway, make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet, and give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe down below if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.